Welcome to my channel Hari PS videos. Thank you so much for watching. Even though little views, very less views, very few, right? Views are coming for topics. Maximum 10. For some videos, it will be 4 or 5 only, right? So whatever I am delivering my knowledge to you, right? It is also helpful to me. Very easy, very right. Whatever the latest know types of friction. Types of friction. Types of friction. As we already discussed, what is friction? What is friction? Friction is the force which opposes the relative motion of the body over the another body. Over the another body which is at rest. Which is at rest. Friction is a kind of force. Is a kind of force which opposes the relative motion of the body over the another surface of the body which is at rest. Which is at rest. Correct? Which is at rest. And also discuss the cause. Why does the force of friction acts between the two surfaces? Because of interlocking of irregularities. Due to the interlocking of irregularities, friction exists between the two surfaces and it opposes the movement or motion of the body. Let us know types of friction. Types of friction. So, friction is a contact force because to exist the force of friction between a moving body and the surface, there must be a contact. So, frictional force is also example for contact force. So, types of friction. There are 3 types of friction. One is static friction. Then the second one is sliding friction. And the third one is rolling friction. Static friction, sliding friction, or it is also called kinetic friction, rolling friction. And we have the another type of friction we can call fluid friction. We can call this fluid friction or drag. Fluid friction or drag. Static friction, sliding friction, kinetic friction, rolling friction, or fluid friction or drag. The fourth one. Let us discuss one more. Before that, we can represent friction with small f. So there is a formula F equal to mu n. F equal to mu n. Here F means force of friction. N means normal force. Whereas mu is equal to coefficient of friction. We will discuss in detail about this while solving the problems. But today let us know about static friction. What is static friction? What is the static friction? Friction, we know that friction is the force which opposes the relative motion. Which opposes the relative motion of the body over the another body. Right? Let us know about static friction. Static in the sense rest means if the object is rest on the another, also force of friction is exist. If the two bodies are relatively rest to each other, the force of friction is exist. For example, if we place a box on the table, right? Between these two, there is some force of friction exist. So, if the two objects are relatively rest to each other, between these two surfaces, force of friction exists because of interlocking of irregularities. As we discussed, friction caused due to interlocking of irregularities between the two objects. If the object is like a heavy box, a heavy box is on the floor. Then what will happen? If you want to move the heavy box, we need to apply more force on it. Because of interlocking between the irregularities, between the two surfaces of maximum. So irregularities are interlocked strongly. So here some force of friction is exists. That force of friction we can call static friction. Interlocking of irregularities here. Interlocking of irregularities between these two surfaces is maximum. So the object cannot move for a little amount of force. So the friction comes into play when two objects are relatively rest to each other. Such kind of friction is called static friction. Right. Then to move the heavy object on the floor. So this object is the object and the surface relatively rest to each other. To move this object by applying some force, it cannot move because of maximum extent of interlocking of irregularities. To overcome this interlocking of irregularities, what we have to do? We need to apply maximum force. Due to this maximum applied force, then the heavy box or the object which is at rest starts to move. Once the object starts to move, we no need to apply this maximum applied force, because this maximum force breaks down or overcome the interlocking of irregularities. Interlocking of irregularities between these two surfaces. When the interlocking of irregularities become less, then the object is start to move. Once the object is start to move, we no need to apply the maximum force. For a little force, the object will be moved in the force of direction. So here we have to observe maximum force of friction. Maximum force of friction. Once this maximum force of friction, the object is at rest, so it is a static friction. So when we overcome the maximum static friction, the object starts to slide or move. Then static friction it changes to sliding friction. Static friction it changes to sliding friction. That's why this static friction is called self-adjusting. Self-adjusting force or self-adjusting friction. Self-adjusting force or self-adjusting friction, because when we apply the maximum force, then this static friction is converted itself as a sliding friction. So static friction is called self-adjusting friction or self-adjusting force. Self-adjusting friction or self-adjusting force, because of this maximum friction overcome, this maximum friction reduce, and the heavy object or the object starts to move. That's why this is called as a self-adjusting friction. So once it is slide, then no need to apply the maximum force or maximum applied force. So this is about the static friction. Then coming to the sliding friction. Sliding friction in the sense. Sliding friction. If the object is sliding or moving on the other one. So motion or moving or sliding the one object on the another, then the force of friction is exists. If one body is moving on the other one, such kind of friction is called sliding friction. This is one surface of the body. If one body is moving on the other one body is sliding on the other one, then between these two some force of friction is exists, even though interlocking takes place. Such kind of friction is called sliding friction or kinetic friction. Sliding friction or kinetic friction. If one body is moving or sliding on the another body, between these two bodies some force of friction is exists. That force of friction we can call sliding friction. Here sliding friction is always less than. Sliding friction is always less than static friction. To move the object from rest to motion, we need to apply the maximum force. Maximum force. Once the object starts to slide, starts to move, no need to apply that much force. That's why sliding friction is less than static friction. Static friction. Then coming to the next one, rolling friction. Rolling friction. What is this rolling friction? Rolling friction. If a body rolls over the another, then the force of friction exists between the two surfaces. That kind of friction we can call rolling friction. We need to exert maximum force so if the object is rest on the other one. Once it starts to sliding, then no need to apply that maximum friction. No need to apply that maximum force. For rolling, we have to use very less applied force because of rolling is very easy than the sliding. That's why what will happen here? Rolling friction is less than sliding friction. Less than static friction. Rolling friction is less than sliding friction. Sliding friction is less than static friction because of interlocking of irregularities is different for static friction, sliding friction and rolling friction. In case of if the object is rest on the other one, if the object is rest on the another one, here what will happen? Maximum interlocking takes place. If the object is moving on the other one, interlocking takes place, but less. When object is moving on the other one, interlocking compulsory. When compared to static friction, here less. If the object is rolls over the another one, interlocking between the two objects is very less because of the contact between the two surfaces. The contact between the two surfaces is maximum in case of static friction. If the object is moves or slides on the other one, the interlocking become less. Whereas in case of rolling, very less interlocking of irregularities takes place, right? So contact area between the two surfaces. So if it is the surface, very less part is contact with the other one. The less part is contact with the other one. Why it is rolling? See, very less part only contact with the surface. So interlocking become very less. So the ball or the body can easily roll on the other one. In case of here, if the object is moving on the other one, interlocking is less. But in case of static friction, maximum interlocking takes place. That's why rolling friction is less than sliding friction. Sliding friction is less than static friction. So we discuss static friction, sliding friction, or the kinetic friction, rolling friction, right? So we will discuss more about this rolling friction in coming topics. So this that's all for today. is friction, cause of friction, and types of friction. Cause of friction, types of friction, and what is friction. The next session we will discuss factors affecting force of friction between the two surfaces. Thank you.